Everything about our brand is about accessibility and enjoying all of your life, not just saving it for weekends or your vacation or your retirement.
Rachael Ray, once the heartbeat of every joyful kitchen, now faces a storm no dish can soothe. A life-altering diagnosis has cast a long shadow, and beside her stands John Cusimano, her partner in passion, now her anchor in pain.
We got to be able to make each other laugh, which we do.
We do, and we're both really volatile.
As whispers of goodbye linger in the air, one question remains. How do you hold on when everything begins to change? And just when we thought we'd heard it all, their viral house fire adds to the emotional trauma.
Devastating damage left behind at celebrity cook Rachael Ray's property after a massive fire.
Join us to witness a bond tested by life's hardest truth, as Rachael Ray's husband is saying goodbye after his wife's tragic diagnosis. Whispers behind the flame.
And food itself is about sharing. It's
true.
You know, and about making people happy and nurturing them in a way.
Before she was America's favorite home cook, she was a small-town girl with big dreams and flour-dusted fingertips. For years, viewers invited Rachael Ray into their homes, drawn by her infectious energy and boundless charisma. But now, those same fans are grappling with a revelation that's left them shaken. How could someone so vibrant, so full of life, be facing something so devastating? Even as she quietly endures a private battle, Rachael refuses to let her diagnosis steal her light. And standing beside her is John. More than a husband, he's her rock, her fiercest protector. As uncertainty creeps into their lives, their love is being tested in ways neither could have imagined. It's a battle for every heartbeat, a test of strength that reaches far beyond the kitchen lights. But Rachael Ray's journey didn't kick off with glamour and headlines. Before the spotlight, before the shows and best-selling books, there was a small town, a girl, a dream simmering on the stovetop of a modest kitchen. Born on August 25, 1968, in Glens Falls, New York, Rachael's earliest memories are seasoned with the scents of garlic and tomato, the crackle of pans, and the comforting chatter of family. Her mother, Elsa Scuderi, brought her Sicilian roots into every dish, turning meals into memories. When the family relocated to Lake George, that love of food only deepened. Surrounded by tourists and the serene beauty of the Adirondacks, her family opened a series of restaurants that quickly became community staples. These weren't just eateries, they were living, breathing, gathering places, and young Rachael was in the thick of it all. While other kids were lost in teenage distractions, Rachael was mastering the nuances of hospitality. She balanced schoolwork with long hours in the kitchen, absorbing the chaos and charm of running a family business. She wasn't just learning how to cook, she was learning how to connect, how to make people feel at home with just a plate of pasta and a smile. But the small town couldn't contain her ambition forever. With a spark in her eye and a hunger for more, Rachael set her sights on New York City. Her first stop, Macy's candy department, an unexpected but sweet start.
I managed the candy department for a short time, but my boss, Michael Corsello, who's my great friend to this day.
She quickly rose through the ranks, eventually managing the gourmet food section. There, she discovered a world of upscale ingredients and global flavors, far from the homey dishes of her childhood. Still, something was missing. The city's pulse was fast and relentless, and soon Rachael found herself yearning for the heart and soul of simpler days. She left Macy's in search of something more real, and found it at Agata and Valentina, a specialty food market where she handled fresh ingredients with reverence. It reignited her passion, reminding her why she fell in love with food in the first place. By 1996, the call of home was too strong to ignore. Rachael returned to Lake George, stepping into a leadership role at the Sagamore Resort. There, she blended her big city experience with small-town authenticity, crafting culinary experiences that honored both her roots and her growth. What she didn't know then was that this journey, one born in a modest kitchen and shaped by hustle, heartbreak, and home, was the foundation for a legacy that would soon touch millions. And this is just the beginning. Stirring up stardom. With just a small-town crowd and a ticking 30-minute clock, Rachael Ray unknowingly stirred the first wave of her national fame. At the Sagamore Resort, Rachael Ray didn't just oversee the restaurants and pubs, she transformed them. Blending her deep-rooted love for food with emerging leadership skills, she turned each meal service into something more, an experience. But it was during these bustling days behind the scenes that Rachael began to notice something that struck a chord. So many people, friends, guests, co-workers, were intimidated by the idea of cooking at home. The kitchen, for them, wasn't a place of joy or creativity. It was stressful and overwhelming, and on top of that, a little scary. And Rachael couldn't let that stand.
My husband and I, we like things spicy, so I tend to go spicy, a little on the heavy side.
With her trademark drive, she launched a series of cooking classes designed to make dinner approachable, fast, and most importantly, fun. Her mission? To teach people how to create delicious meals in just 30 minutes. Her blunt, no-nonsense style was a breath of fresh air. Locals flocked to her classes, hungry not just for recipes, but for her infectious enthusiasm. The buzz grew quickly, and it wasn't long before someone else noticed. A local television station caught wind of her growing popularity and reached out. They invited Rachael to appear on air, offering bite-sized cooking segments to their viewers. She stepped in front of the camera and something clicked. That vibrant spark, the relatable charm, the way she made every viewer feel like they were right there in the kitchen with her. It all translated effortlessly to the screen. Viewers fell in love with her easygoing presence and practical tips. She wasn't a celebrity chef. She was a friend who just happened to know her way around a frying pan. What began as a small community project soon grew into something far greater, something that would change her life forever. Flames, flavor, and fame. Long before she became a household name, Rachael Ray was just a spirited small-town foodie with a knack for turning chaos into comfort. Armed with a skillet, a smile, and an unwavering belief that cooking shouldn't be complicated. By the late 1990s, she was already stirring things up, quite literally, in local kitchens around upstate New York. Her no-fuss, fast-paced cooking lessons struck a nerve with everyday folks who were exhausted by long recipes and fancy techniques. Her idea was simple, but revolutionary. Meals made from scratch in 30 minutes or less.
A lemon, I do this all the time. It just intensifies the flavor of the lemon itself.
It wasn't just a time saver. It was a lifeline for busy families, overworked parents, and anyone who ever stared into their fridge and thought, "What now?" Her charm, wit, and can-do attitude turned heads, and soon, one of those heads belonged to the Food Network. When 30-minute meals debuted on national television in 2001, everything changed. In a world of polished chefs and elaborate entrees, Rachael was a breath of fresh air. She didn't wear a starched white coat or speak in culinary jargon. She didn't care about perfection, only progress. And that's what made her unstoppable. With her warm laugh, real-life mishaps, and irresistibly approachable style, she invited America into her kitchen and into her heart. Over the course of 27 seasons, 30-minute meals became more than a show. It became a movement. Rachael redefined what it meant to be a home cook, proving that great food didn't require hours of prep or a culinary degree, just heart, hustle, and a hot pan. But that was only the beginning. In 2006, Rachael stepped even further into the spotlight with the launch of her very own daytime talk show, Rachael Ray. Produced by none other than Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions and distributed by CBS, the show blended celebrity interviews, lifestyle tips, and, of course, her signature easy meals. Her effortless ability to connect with guests and viewers alike made the show a runaway success, earning multiple Daytime Emmy Awards and solidifying Rachael as more than a chef. She was now a media powerhouse. That same year, she added another layer to her growing empire, a lifestyle magazine, Every Day with Rachael Ray. It was a natural extension of her brand, filled with recipes, home hacks, personal stories, and the same relatable tone that made her beloved in the first place. For more than a decade, the magazine was a mainstay in kitchens across America, another channel through which Rachael turned everyday routines into something just a little more joyful. More than meals. Just when the world needed a dose of authenticity, Rachael Ray opened the doors to her home kitchen and showed us all how to adapt and thrive. Since its debut in 2019, Rachael Ray's lifestyle brand has quietly reshaped the way we think about everyday living. But that's just one piece of her remarkable story. Years earlier, in 2008, driven by her deep love for animals, she stepped into the pet food world with Nutrish.
Celebrity chef Rachael Ray markets Nutrish dog food as natural, inspired by her own recipes,
turning a simple business venture into a powerful mission. The brand's rapid success wasn't just about quality ingredients, it was about heart, and fans felt that deeply. When 30-Minute Meals aired its final episode in 2012, many expected Rachael to slow down. Instead, she did something far more impressive. She reinvented herself. Her daytime talk show flourished, new products flooded the market, and she found fresh ways to connect with her audience. Then, the pandemic hit in 2020, turning the world upside down. But Rachael? She brought her show right into her home kitchen, offering viewers an intimate, unfiltered look at her life. This raw honesty forged an even stronger bond with fans, proving her resilience when it mattered most. By 2021, Rachael wasn't just adapting to the digital world, she was thriving in it. Virtual cooking classes, lively social media interactions, and a growing global fan base showed her knack for staying relevant in an ever-changing landscape. The following year, she doubled down on her philanthropic efforts, supporting food banks and disaster relief, while Nutrish continued its mission to help animals in need. Now, in 2024, Rachael Ray stands as a true powerhouse. Her recipes still accessible, her personality as infectious as ever, and her commitment to giving back unwavering. With her talk show going strong, new products launching, and exciting collaborations on the horizon, Rachael's journey is far from over. And just when you think you know her story, wait until you hear what her husband brings to the table, because the best is yet to come. Her quiet and loud anchor. John Cusimano is the steady force behind Rachael Ray's lively universe, a man whose story is just as captivating as the fame that surrounds his celebrated wife. It was a warm, late summer afternoon in New York City when John Cusimano set out on a path that would blur the lines between logic and passion. He moved from the intense grind of law school into the rhythm-fueled chaos of rock and roll. Two worlds rarely crossed, yet he straddled them with ease. With a law degree in entertainment under his belt, John found himself navigating contracts by day and chasing chords by night. But the courtroom never called to him the way the stage did. In the early 2000s, driven by a need to create, John stepped away from the legal spotlight and into the roar of a crowd. He founded The Cringe, a rock band where he didn't just sing, he led. Their grit and sound caught fire, eventually earning them opening spots for legends like Motorhead and the New York Dolls. For most, those moments, opening for rock legends, leading a band, would be once-in-a-lifetime dreams. But for John Cusimano, they were simply the next verse in a life defined by daring choices and unapologetic passion. That same passion found its way into his love life. Years later, during a heartfelt Valentine's Day episode of Rachel's show, the couple shared the charming story of how they first met. As they spoke, they captivated an audience filled with longtime lovers, some together for over 60 years. As they reflected on their own journey together, John and Rachel recalled the night they first met at a mutual friend's birthday party. Neither expected much, both skeptical of the matchmaking efforts, especially since everyone else at the party towered over them in height. But amid the crowd, they found each other, sparking a connection that's lasted for over 20 years, with 14 of those spent married. Their love story, peppered with humor and candid moments, took a hilarious turn when Rachel revealed John's less-than-smooth proposal, a ring tossed at her head during a stressful apartment renovation meltdown. Though the gesture was unconventional, their bond only grew stronger, culminating in a remarriage and the promise of a second, more romantic proposal someday. Still, despite his growing public presence with Rachel, John has masterfully guarded his privacy, never chasing fame but letting his work speak volumes. However, behind everything, there's a story of marriage controversies that we're just starting to dig into. Silent storm. Behind Rachael Ray's warm smile and effortless charm lies a story few have seen, a life marked not just by success, but by whispers of scandal and moments of deep personal pain. Known for bringing comfort to millions through her quick recipes and relatable style, Rachel's journey hasn't been without its shadows. Married to John Cusimano since 2005, their fairy tale wedding in a Tuscan castle seemed like the beginning of forever. But beneath the surface, cracks appeared. In 2013, shocking rumors erupted. Accusations of infidelity and troubling behavior threatened to unravel their picture-perfect marriage. Claims of multiple affairs and substance use made headlines, stirring public doubt. Yet, through it all, Rachel stood firm, dismissing the rumors and projecting an unshakable trust in John. Despite their frequent reassurances that all is well at home, the couple has been dogged by scandal. In 2013, the tabloids erupted with shocking headlines. The news alleged that John had been seen at a swingers club without Rachel. An anonymous source painted a salacious picture, suggesting he was no stranger to the club's more intimate spaces. Though the couple firmly denied the rumors, this time the damage felt personal. A representative even confirmed that John was considering legal action for defamation, showing that the media storm had reached a breaking point. But the drama isn't just from external sources. Rachel and John's relationship breaks the traditional mold. They spend much of their time apart, each chasing their own passions and projects. A setup they both accept and appreciate. Rachel has openly said she's never been into clingy romance and has little patience for partners who need constant attention. As she put it, John is totally okay with that. Rachel revealed on their 15th anniversary that their marriage can get quite loud, especially during arguments when they don't hold back. She admitted that when they're angry, they scream, and if John is being difficult, she tells him straight. Although their dynamic is messy, they consider it healthy, and their shared sense of humor helps keep things grounded. Even their indulgences blur the line between fun and excess. From staying up all night to binging on guilty pleasures like rich food and loud music, Rachel and John delight in breaking the rules together. With a collection of over 3,000 records, their nights often stretch well past 2 in the morning. Home in flames.
It all started with a sketch, just a simple drawing Rachael Ray made nearly 2 decades ago. That sketch became her dream home, a warm, welcoming retreat she and her husband, John, lived in for almost 16 years. But on a summer night, that dream went up in flames. The fire began in the chimney, and in moments, everything changed.
Devastating damage left behind at celebrity cook Rachael Ray's property after a massive fire.
Rachel and John had to run for their lives with only the clothes on their backs, flip-flops, old boat shoes, and a recently adopted dog in tow. Across the street, they stood helpless, watching as their beloved home burned for hours, reduced to ashes by 3 in the morning. The loss didn't hit all at once. It was days later, in the quiet aftermath, when Rachael realized she had lost something irreplaceable. Her mother's letters, handwritten pieces of her past, every one of them gone. The house was a total loss. Rebuilding took over a year. In upstate New York, they began again, brick by brick. Rachael tried to recreate every detail of the original home, down to the exact linen closet, though, heartbreakingly, she forgot to add it back in. They upgraded the roof to tin, determined not to be the 3 little pigs twice. When she finally opened her doors again, just in time for Christmas, Rachael offered a glimpse into the rebuilt home, a space filled with recreated memories and furniture designed from old photographs. Still, not everything went smoothly. She joked about her biggest regret, a beautiful stove that turned out to be nearly impossible to use. "I bought it for the looks," she laughed, "but I should have read the manual." Despite everything, Rachael never lost her spark. She continued filming her show from a blend of home and studio and released a deeply personal book, This Must Be the Place. In the span of a year, Rachael and John lost their sense of privacy, their beloved dog, and the home they built. But what they gained was even more profound, a sense of security rooted in vulnerability and a deeper bond with the audience they've always considered family. Health challenge. Before Rachael Ray became America's kitchen sweetheart, her voice, now a household sound, was nearly silenced by a childhood illness. Rachael Ray's voice is instantly recognizable, lively and filled with energy that mirrors her fast-paced 30-minute meals. But few know that this signature sound comes with a history of pain and perseverance. Long before the cameras, long before the cookbooks and talk shows, Rachael was a little girl with a big voice, and a fragile one at that. Plagued by recurring childhood croup, she endured constant throat inflammation, harsh coughing fits, and breathing issues that scarred her vocal cords early on. Her voice, which would become her trademark,
So it makes it really easy for chopping and dropping these guys into our first bowl here. Come on, fellas, come on out.
was a battle she quietly fought from the start. Throughout her life, Rachael's voice would come and go, sometimes vanishing for days or even weeks. Doctors prescribed vocal therapy, advised her to avoid caffeine, and warned her to rest her voice whenever possible. But there was no rest in showbiz. She pushed forward, even as her vocal cords cried out for care. Behind the scenes, every episode required a delicate balance between enthusiasm and preservation. Then came 2008, and with it, headlines that sent shockwaves through her fan base. "Rachael Ray has throat cancer," screamed the tabloids. "She'll need surgery, possibly radiation." The news claimed dire diagnoses and quoted anonymous insiders who said cancerous cells had been found. Panic rippled across the internet. Was this the end of Rachael's voice? Would she disappear from our screens forever? But in a twist worthy of her own drama-filled episode, the truth was far less grim. Yes, she needed surgery. No, it wasn't cancer. Rachael had developed a benign cyst on her vocal cords, a common, treatable condition. A quick outpatient procedure in December of that year and a week of rest were all it took for her to bounce back. Her team swiftly debunked the rumors, assuring fans that she was healthy, resilient, and ready to get back in the kitchen. And she did, without missing a beat. Her return to TV was swift, her voice as bold and infectious as ever. If anything, the scare only reinforced how much her audience cherished her presence. Through it all, her greatest support came from her husband, John Cusimano, who stood by her through every test and treatment. That chapter may be behind her, but today, there's a new layer of concern surrounding Rachael Ray, one that whispers of emotional fatigue, shifting priorities, and a woman who might just need our prayers more than our applause. So, what's really going on with Rachael Ray now? Let's take a closer look. When love and speculation collide. Rachael Ray's latest Mother's Day video was meant to be a heartfelt tribute, an expression of love and gratitude for the woman who taught her how to turn nothing into something, always with heart. She posted the clip to Instagram, her voice warm as she thanked her mom for shaping her life's path.
I was very, very poor, and I didn't want to bother my mother. I didn't want her to feel scared for me.
It changed the course of my life, she said. It made my life what it is. But instead of the praise she likely expected, the conversation online took a surprising turn, and not in the direction of her message. The comments section soon filled with questions unrelated to love or legacy. One person asked if Rachael was okay, while others wondered what had happened to her and mentioned not recognizing her. The conversation quickly shifted from Mother's Day to Rachael's appearance.
Rachael Ray's recent video for Mother's Day is being talked about by her fans for all the wrong reasons.
With some noting how different she looked, and others suggesting there might be something more going on. To their credit, not everyone joined the speculation. Many fans rose to her defense, reminding the world that people change. Aging is natural. Life leaves its marks. And in Rachael's case, she's weathered more than a few storms. Sadly, this isn't the first time her appearance has sparked unsolicited commentary. In February of 2025, another Instagram video stirred similar reactions. Some viewers said she looked different. Others noted what they perceived as a slurring of her words. The whispers grew louder. Was something wrong? It's true that Rachael Ray doesn't look or sound quite the same as she did on TV 2 decades ago. But who really does? Time, stress, aging, and challenges all leave their marks, and Rachael has likely faced her fair share. She's never publicly addressed the talk about her speech. No Instagram comment, no video clarification. However, in a recent interview, she gave a rare insight into her personal life and the health struggles that have been the subject of speculation. A kitchen icon reflects. In a world used to her radiant energy, Rachael's quiet confession felt louder than words. Rachael recently broke her silence after fans expressed concern over her health. The spark was an Instagram video, her debut episode of the new podcast I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, where some viewers noticed something unusual. A subtle slur in her speech. Rather than shy away, Rachael leaned into transparency. At 56 years old, she opened up candidly about her health and the toll a few recent accidents have taken on her.
Rachael Ray opens up after fans express concerns about her health. The 56-year-old recently shared that she suffered a couple of bad falls.
Always a force of energy, whether whipping up meals on camera or hauling firewood off screen, Rachael shared that she's had to take a rare step back from her usual routines. A couple of tough falls had sidelined her, at least temporarily. Rachael shared with her listeners that she considered herself a homemaker, someone who genuinely enjoyed chores and found comfort in the kitchen. She expressed how activities like cooking and even carrying wood were more than just daily routines. They served as a form of therapy, offering both mental clarity and physical satisfaction. Rachael expressed her love for physical work, mentioning how much she enjoyed tasks like carrying in firewood. However, she acknowledged that a few recent falls had forced her to pause those activities for the time being. Still, she continued to show up with her signature warmth, smiling, cooking, and connecting with her audience. Yet, she recognized that for now, rest had become an essential ingredient in her daily life. The update resonated deeply, especially in light of a resurfaced video. In the clip, Rachael was seen preparing osso buco as a heartfelt tribute to the late Tony Bennett. Observant viewers noted a subtle change in her speech and quickly took to the comment section with concern and speculation. Some wondered aloud whether she had suffered a stroke, while others suggested she might have had too much to drink.
I'm not a big beer drinker, and I think a lot of women try to limit the amount of beer they drink because it can leave us feeling like really full and heavy.
One commenter speculated it looked like a mini stroke, pointing out that part of her mouth seemed to be drooping. Another expressed hope that it was nothing more serious, perhaps just one drink too many, and added a prayer for her well-being. As speculation began to circulate, so too did a wave of support. Longtime fans quickly came to Rachael Ray's defense, encouraging others to lead with empathy instead of jumping to conclusions. One follower remarked that they hadn't noticed any slurring at all, adding that Rachael had always come across as a genuinely kind person with uplifting energy. That message of compassion resonated with many, shifting the focus away from rumors and back onto the meaningful bond she had built over the years through her warmth, generosity, and love of cooking. Unforeseen diagnosis. For years, Rachael Ray seemed unstoppable, a whirlwind of energy lighting up television screens, gracing magazine covers, launching product lines, and championing charitable causes. From the outside, her life looked invincible. But behind that warm smile and relentless schedule, something had begun to shift. At first, it was just fatigue. Nothing Rachael hadn't handled before. She'd chalk it up to long hours, back-to-back shoots, and the pressure that came with being the face of an empire. She dismissed the heaviness in her limbs, the mental fog, the breathless pauses in her once effortless conversations. After all, she was Rachael Ray. Pushing through was just part of who she was, but exhaustion turned into something deeper. Her hands, those nimble hands that diced, stirred, and served with flair, began to feel sluggish. Her iconic voice would falter mid-sentence.
I don't want to be the cheapest pot or pan, but I want to provide the best value in that fabrication or in that.
The signs were growing harder to ignore. Still, she kept going, until someone else noticed what she wouldn't admit. John Cusimano, her husband, her anchor for nearly 20 years, saw the difference. He watched her push herself through the motions, her trademark smile a little more strained each day. And while he rarely sounded the alarm, this time was different. He urged her, gently but persistently, to see a doctor. Reluctantly, Rachael agreed. She expected a diagnosis of stress or low iron, maybe a reminder to rest. But what she got was far more serious. The exact nature of her condition was never revealed to the public, but whispers among close friends painted a sobering picture, a potentially life-threatening diagnosis that rattled the very core of her world. In an instant, the set lights dimmed. The studio kitchens faded into the background. What mattered now wasn't ratings or recipes, it was survival. Together, she and John began to reassess everything. Their once carefully mapped future was now clouded by uncertainty. Dreams were paused, plans reimagined. Every decision took on new weight. And through it all, John never wavered. He became her fortress, shielding her from the noise and helping her focus on healing. Their bond, forged over decades, was now tested in ways they never expected. But it held strong, deeper, quieter, and more sacred than ever before. Still, beneath his calm exterior, John carried a silent burden. Friends began to notice it in his eyes, in the way his smiles lingered just a second too long, in the silence between words. He was preparing himself, and unbeknownst to Rachael, he was planning something that could change everything. Was it a final gesture, a quiet farewell, or was it the most powerful expression of love yet? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.